Ukraine's summer counteroffensive has not gone as well as Kiev had hoped, with troops seeking to find weaknesses in Russia's reinforced military line of defense along the broad border that divides the two countries. Ukrainian fighters began a counterattack a month ago today, participating in around 25 battles over the course of a day along the eastern and southern borders, as well as near Bilohorivka in the Luhansk region, liberating several villages during that time. Compared to the previous counteroffensive of September 6 to October 2, in which Ukraine recaptured more than 500 settlements and more than 4,600 square miles of territory, the current one represents a stalled progress described by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as slower than desired. Bakhmut remains a high military priority for both sides, Kimmich said, because Ukraine's successful push allowed troops to trace a direct path to Russia's borders. Zaporizhia and Berdyansk are also important, especially the former for being home to nuclear power plants. Video footage shows Ukrainian armed forces liquidating and wounding nearly 2 companies of Russian invaders in the Tavriy direction, Zaporizhia, and the southern part of the Donetsk region yesterday. In addition, 4 ammunition depots and 17 units of colonial military equipment were destroyed. In particular, 3 152mm .2 A-36 Hyacinth-B guns, a tank, the 9K330 Tor anti-aircraft missile system, and an electronic warfare station. Oleksandr Tarnavsky, commander of the Tavriy Strategic Operational Forces Group, had this to say on his Telegram channel. The missile troops and artillery units carried out 1,242 fire missions during the day. In turn, the 47th Artillery Brigade said that its guns destroyed the Russian 220mm rocket salvo system Hurricane. Perhaps the events themselves occurred earlier, so Oleksandr Tarnavsky called this storm in earlier days. Ukraine said on Monday that its troops had caught Russian troops occupying it in a trap in the devastated eastern city of Bakhmut, where its troops had gained territory as part of their counteroffensive. Russian accounts of the battle say that Moscow forces have repulsed or held back Ukrainian advances to the east and south. More than 500 days after the invasion, the Ukrainian counteroffensive that began early last month has focused on capturing clusters of villages in the southeast and moving into Russian troops holding Bakhmut. Another video shows guns of the 44th Separate Artillery Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces named after Hetman Danylo Apostol destroying a Grad rocket salvo system, a Msta-S 152mm self-propelled artillery installation, and a 152mm Hyacinth-B towed howitzer with ammunition. All 3 enemy artillery pieces were well camouflaged by the invaders in firing positions in various forest stands. However, our unmanned aerial vehicle operators found fat targets and adjusted accurate fire on them. The pre-service unit announced this on its own page on the social network Facebook, publishing a relevant video, edited primarily from footage captured by drones. The Russian Defense Ministry said its troops had repelled the Ukrainian advance near Bakhmut, with the fighting made difficult not only by the intensity of the fire and daily fighting, but also by the topography. The line of contact runs between the 2 hills. The Russian Defense Ministry also said its troops had repelled Ukrainian attacks on 3 areas of the Donetsk region, including Klishchiivka, which was the focus of clashes in recent days near Bakhmut. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Yevgeny Prigozhin, leader of Wagner, just days after a short-lived mutiny by the head of his private army and mercenaries, according to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. The 3-hour meeting took place on June 29, which also included commanders from the military company Prigozhin set up, Peskov said. Prigozhin had long been in conflict with the Russian military top brass, which on June 24 culminated in an armed uprising in which he led his fighters into Russia. Previous Ukrainian counteroffensives saw the country reclaim more than 500 Russian-occupied settlements and more than 4,600 square miles of its territory in less than a month. A video released by the Ukrainian Center for Strategic Communications and Information Security on Sunday urged patience over counterattacks, showing that the reality of war is not like a video game. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on July 11 that Russia had lost 235,020 troops in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes the 540 casualties suffered by Russian forces over the past few days. The UK Ministry of Defense reported on July 6 that the Russian defenses around Bakhmut are now largely formed around airborne regiments normally stationed in western Russia, which normally act as an elite quick reaction force in the event of tensions with NATO. In the Kherson direction, the Russian invaders a few days ago concentrated their main efforts on preventing the further advance of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. At the same time, the aggressors carried out airstrikes in the Kozatsky district and shelled Berislav, Visel, Antonivka, Bilozerka, and Kherson with artillery. The spokesman for the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Andriy Kovalev, told about this in today's report published on the official page of the social network Facebook. In turn, the Telegram channel Operative Donbas drew attention to the reports of the Rashists that our defenders have taken over the left bank of the Dnipro in recent days in small groups. The new wave of the offensive of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Antonivsky Bridge area took place taking into account the previous shortcomings. Not that it was unexpected, but bigger and more confident. Over the past 4 days, Russia said Ukrainian troops had been occupying positions in small groups. At such a pace, the entire coastal strip from Valaya Pristan to Dnipro could come under Ukrainian control. Russia says fighting has become increasingly intense since the counteroffensive began. His forces still control swaths of territory in eastern and southern Ukraine after the massive invasion on February 24 last year.